everybody, it's Sherry Dean from Missing Persons of America. A lot of you have been talking about that new Netflix docuseries, Tiger King, Murder, Mayhem and Madness. While watching it, they're finding out that one of the characters in the docuseries has a missing husband. So I did some research on that. I'm going to bring that up to you next. See you in a sec. If you watch that new docuseries on Netflix called Tiger King, Murder, Mayhem and Madness.
My name's Joe Exotic and this is Sarge.
He was like a mythical character living out in the middle of bumfuck Oklahoma who owned 1,200 tigers and lions and bears and shit.
You're gonna love me. Matt spoken, good looking, love to party and have fun. I don't think we're done blowing shit up today.
I don't figure you are.
You'll be familiar with some of these people that I'm talking about. Dawn, Carol, and Joe Exotic. I want to talk about Dawn, who went missing back in 1997, and tell you a couple things that I found out with this research. So Jack Donald Lewis, he was 60 years old, also known as Don Lewis, went missing from Tampa, Florida in August 18, 1997. Although Don's 1989 Dodge van was found at an airport 2 days later, it was never determined if he ever flew out of that airport, and he has not been seen since. As I said before, those of you that have seen the new Netflix series Tiger King, Murder, Mayhem and Madness recognize Don's name, as he and his wife are featured along with Joe Exotic, who became enemies with Carol.
Never had an enemy in his life. It was Carol Baskin.
Hey, all you cool cats and kittens, it's Carol at Big Cat Rescue.
Carol is the Mother Teresa of cats.
We will end the private possession of these cats.
This is my way of living, and nobody's gonna tell me any otherwise.
So in the early 90s, Dawn and Carol Lewis turned 40 acres of real estate in Tampa into a sanctuary that grew to 200 exotic cats. While running the sanctuary, Carol became aware of small private zoos and other sanctuaries that were claiming they were helping exotic animals, but Carol stated they were mistreating the animals. Carol's goal was to end all breeding of exotic animals by 2025, and she worked feverishly at it while running wildlife on Easy Street with her husband. Then in 1997, Carol says that Don told her that he was leaving early in the morning to go to Costa Rica. He was even thinking of moving his car business there and also moving the whole sanctuary to Costa Rica. Quote, Don had told me about people going to Costa Rica and disappearing, said Carol. Our Costa Rican attorney, Roger Peterson, said the helicopter brothers were the local version of the mafia, and Don was loaning them money. So to be prepared, Carol had Dawn sign a power of attorney and had it read that it would also go in effect in case of Dawn's disappearance. Now, this is pretty unusual action, and many people say that it shows premeditation on Carol's part. A few days later, Don Lewis did disappear, and many people, including his grown children, suspected Carol of having something to do with it. Don's daughter even went as far as to state they believe Carol fed Don to the tigers. Quote, it's a perfect scenario to dispose of someone, said Donna, Don's daughter, to the People magazine. We were upset that the cops didn't test the DNA on the meat grinder. Carol's response to this, to the meat grinder accusations, were, my tigers eat meat, they don't eat people. There would be bones and remains of my husband out there. I'm amazed that people would think such a thing. During the investigation into Dawn's disappearance, the police found that Dawn had filed court documents in June 1997 over a domestic violence injunction against Carol. He accused her of threatening to shoot him and that she took his guns. But the Hillsborough judge, he dismissed the whole case found no grounds for the accusations. And then Don went back to living with Carol, just like nothing ever happened. So Carol believes that Don likely staged his disappearance and left to go live in Costa Rica, where he owned real estate. He owned many planes and was known to fly uncharted to many places, including Costa Rica. And she figures he just chose to leave her and went and left her behind. An extensive police investigation looked into everything, including Don's Costa Rica properties where he wanted to retire, and they didn't find anything. But they did uncover extramarital affairs and questionable business practices. They did locate all his planes too. So if Don did fly to Costa Rica, he didn't take one of his planes. He had to get there some other way. Now, Don's handyman, during the documentary, he said that Don told him, if I can pull this off, it'll be the slickest thing I ever did. And then Don's mechanic, he claimed Don had asked him to go to Costa Rica with him. And then Don's assistant claimed he flew commercially from Miami to Costa Rica. And there's other theories. Another one is that Don Lewis was killed and put into a septic tank that was underneath one of the buildings at the Big Cat Rescue. With Don's disappearance, though, life went on for Carol, and she continued to run the sanctuary. She eventually got remarried to a man named Baskin. She also began fighting against other private zoos and sanctuaries that she felt they weren't taking care of the exotic animals correctly. And one person in particular was in her crosshairs, Joe Exotic.
We have one of the best exotic vets in the country. We have such a stringent protocol. She is on 24-hour call, and she only lives a quarter mile away from the park. And the best thing is, she has taught me everything I know. And most of our stuff done here is done by phone orders. Get us some, that real potent antibiotic.
Okay. You're going to try and feed him by mouth? Is that what you want?
Is that porcupine some monkey biscuits, please? And rabbit food.
In 2009, Carol ran across Joe's Exotic YouTube channel, where he became known as the Tiger King.
You better get better. Yes. Dad loves you. Get better. Okay. Okay.
She felt that Joe Exotic was one of the worst offenders. Carol watched his every move and brought him to the attention of PETA and the Humane Society. Joe's cost of defending himself in court soon outweighed any profits he made with the zoo or his YouTube channel.
Well, everything was fine, just as sweet as wine, but her husband went and disappeared. Kitty, kitty, you can't find this taste in the zoo. Oh, here, kitty, kitty. Well, Mama Carol, she sure loves you. Oh.
Several times, Joe Exotic was heard threatening Carol and complaining how she was ruining his business with her accusations about him handling the exotic cats. He felt it was unfair as they both were running rescues for exotic cats, and in his opinion, she was accusing him of the same things that she was doing. Although the threats were reported, it was all considered hearsay. Then in 2017, Joe tried to hire someone to murder Carol twice.
Joe says, will you go to Florida and what?
Kill that fucking lady.
What he didn't know was one of those people he asked secretly recorded their conversations for the FBI. What had begun as a Fish and Wildlife Service investigation into Joe's animal crimes have evolved into a murder for hire case. He was arrested in 2018. In April 2019, Joe Exotic, who was 56 at the time, was sentenced for 2 counts of murder for hire, for plotting to kill Carol, 8 counts of violating the Lacey Act for falsifying wildlife records, and 9 counts of violating the Endangered Species Act. He was also found guilty of killing 5 tiger cubs and for selling and offering to sell tiger cubs in violation of the Endangered Species Act. So where is everybody now? Is Joe still in jail? Is he gone? What's going on? Well, Joe is currently in jail. He's at the Grady County Jail in Oklahoma. Don Lewis, where he's at, still nobody knows. Carol had him declared dead in 2002. And Carol is still working at the rescue in Tampa, Florida. Now, when Joe was sentenced, Carol stated she thought it was poetic justice that he would potentially spend the rest of his life in a cage. Right now, she's currently lobbying to pass legislation to further tighten regulations on big cat ownership in America. And there you have it. Thanks for listening, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the story. That's it for today. I'll see you soon.